everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Lions Grid. Jeffrey, we're here. We're in person.
Yes,
We're together.
coming to you live from my office. This might look familiar to viewers here, but we're both here in the office. It's good to hang out with the buddy Kevin, hanging out for the weekend, catching up, playing a bit of Warhammer for those interested in some of the nerdy offshoots that we do. But overall, great weekend, man. Thanks for coming. Enjoyed having you.
Appreciate you hosting me. I love it. Rolling some dice, always a good time.
Yeah.
Getting some games in, so it's good. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Jeffrey, it's of course Sunday, so we have a lot of NFL action. The NFL already getting started early this morning with another game over in jolly old London.
Yeah, the Bears and the Jaguars. Jaguars being a team that the fan base in London really likes, so they're almost London's team.
I would be interested. I'm not sure what the stats are, but to see, I feel like the Jags are by far the team that has played the most over in London.
I would absolutely agree with that.
I wonder, but how many more games are they ahead of everyone else? I'm not sure that off the top of my head, but it's got to be.
Stretch goal is having our own research department to get us some real time.
Get our own. They have Henbo on the Mike and Mike in whatever he does now because they split apart. He does First Take, I think, now.
Okay.
Or wait, no, he does Wake Up in the morning. Mike Greenberg does.
Okay, yeah.
But ESPN's always changing their stuff around,
right? Yeah.
Flipping it around, trying to be more productive, and of course Pat McAfee and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
it's a whole thing over there with ESPN. But so they're in action. The Bears are currently ahead in that game. 2 touchdown passes from Caleb Williams currently to Cole Kmet.
Cole Kmet popping off. Wish I had him in fantasy. My tight end room is not looking good overall. But
it's distressing too because we've already talked about how Caleb Williams and the Bears offense has kind of been getting better every week. Now, mind you, Jacksonville is having definitely a disappointing season.
Yes.
But it's kind of that still worrisome trend that's continuing there where we're seeing the Bears look better on offense, and we already know their defense is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we start to look here in the coming weeks to start our NFC North campaign, I would much prefer them still to be on the struggle bus as opposed to that offense looking like it's starting to get into mid-season form.
Yes, I want some more rookie roller coastering going out of that. I mean, there still is that, but every week he's getting better. Every week it's getting more efficient. I think, especially the first game, wildly inefficient, right? Only completed 9 passes. But he's getting wins throughout these, which is also concerning, right? Mm-hmm. He's stacking up wins despite poor play, even though he is getting better and better. But what makes me a little bit more nervous is we were watching a bit of this game, the London game here before the show started, and they're working in Keenan Allen. They're working in these weapons. They have a
lot of stuff.
Yeah, they've got a lot of weaponry on offense, and it could be a little spicy when we play them this year.
I think that's been one thing that people have found kind of surprising about which rookie quarterback has performed best because, Jaden Daniels, I think, has definitely been the guy who's leading the pack. But, of course, when you look at the two situations, you look at the Bears. I mean, the offensive line is an issue, but I don't necessarily think, the Commanders' Washington offensive line is, looked at as being great either. But the fact that he has, at the skill position, DJ Moore, Adonze, they drafted, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, he's got a lot of weapons there.
Yeah.
And so it was, I think, looked at as probably, the best situation that a rookie quarterback has had in quite some time.
Right.
So he was coming into there, and there was some expectations, and he's finally starting to deliver on those expectations.
Right, especially because we weren't expecting J.J. McCarthy to come into Minnesota and all of a sudden light the world on fire, but it looked like they were just a quarterback away, apparently. We weren't expecting Bo Nix to be kind of gelling this early with Sean Payton. We're about to see another rookie matchup here, or a rookie playing his first game with the down in New Orleans. So, a lot of unexpected things going on when it comes to the rookies, but I'm all for it because we're seeing kind of the new era being ushered in of just newer, younger quarterbacks coming into the league. There's lots of youth when we're looking at that quarterback position.
Yeah, everyone is. If you don't have your franchise quarterback, you're always looking. So they're currently, it's currently a lot of experimentation going out there. But a lot of the guys so far are doing decent. So, except of this draft class, anyways, Will Levis is a pretty struggle bus.
Yeah, right.
He's not a rookie anymore.
Yeah.
So, but Of course, Jeffrey, our main focus here is the upcoming game this afternoon between our Detroit Lions, who are coming off the bye week, and the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are a roller coaster of emotions when you look at them.
Yep.
They are up and down every week. Of course, they seem like they started the off season late this year, right? Because everyone else, especially there was that big running back carousel,
Yep.
and they just decided they weren't
Yeah.
going to participate in that.
Most people expected that to be one of the biggest positions they go after, is kind of a premier running back. Well, they did get a premier running back from maybe like 5-10 seasons ago.
Yeah, they brought Zeke back.
They brought Zeke back.
They should never let him go, but they let him go, and he's back. I guess if you love something, you let it go, and if it's meant to be,
that's right. Yeah,
so
that's right.
Zeke and the Cowboys are meant to be.
Yeah, but yeah, just an interesting offseason overall for Dallas, especially because they obviously have that postseason struggle getting the divisional round and then petering out, but ultimately they just a big vibe shift overall.
Yeah.
Last year they were like considered contenders, right? Like they're where they should be typically every year. Coming into this year, we're like, okay, most of everything's coming back except that running game maybe. We got Dak, we're paying him a lot of money. We got CD, we're lock those guys up. This is all in. But then you don't address one of the bigger concerns, and it's you can kind of tell they're coaching for their lives out there, Mr. McCarthy.
Yeah, of course they did give extensions to Dak and CD Lamb, but somebody who did not get an extension is, as you mentioned, that head coach there, Mike McCarthy. So he, it seems like everyone else's futures have been sort of solidified, but he is kind of hanging out there in limbo. He's that lame duck head coach. So
yeah, I could see. I mean, I think his butt's getting hot. Maybe we'll revisit our hot butt segment here here in the recap show this week. But I think his butt might be getting hot, especially if they don't get past this divisional round, because it's clear, at least from what Jerry Jones is posturing, is that they are a Super Bowl contender and they should be expected to be as such. So
yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, I think definitely you look at the Cowboys and the Eagles in the NFC East, and you thought those two teams would be kind of like the two big players fighting for that division. And right now, it's actually like the Commanders and even the Giants are hanging out there just because they got their win last week, and then the Cowboys and the Eagles have also struggled. So like the Giants are still in the mix despite everything going on with them and Brian Dable being on the hot seat. So it's the NFC East is weird. I think the NFC North is competitive because they're all good teams. The NFC East seems like a thing where it's like, are any of these teams good? And we're sort of struggling to see who's going to rise to the top there. And also interesting, we mentioned earlier that Dak and CeeDee Lamb got their paydays, and so a lot is expected of them.
Yeah.
But last week there was definitely some clear signs. Speaking of, you talked about that vibe. They had a vibe check last week, and it didn't go good.
No,
they were unhappy with one another.
Yeah, and there's some yelling at each other, some getting into it, which all that stuff I think is healthy because you're in a hyper competitive environment. Obviously, you're going to butt heads with folks you're working hard with to attain that big goal, which is winning the sport, but like. It's not good when your wide receiver and your quarterback are not on the same page, and it looks like they're not on the same page for several weeks, especially with the amount of money they're paying them. They're their guys.
They're supposed to be the guys that are leading the team, and they, so far we haven't really seen either step up and have like huge games. I mean, I think CD Lamb had a decent game earlier this season where he kind of popped off in fantasy, but it hasn't been like consistent week to week, and. So we'll have to see how again you paid them, you expect them to step up. So,
but meanwhile, vibe checks over on our side. Vibe checks are good.
We're vibing over here.
We're vibing. We just signed Montgomery to a big contract extension, locking him up to, I think it was till 2027. I believe 2027. So clearly they value him. They value him in Gibbs. Gibbs is on that rookie contract, so they're not having to pay a premium for him yet. They're locking in the blues out of our rhythm and blues combo we got, and I'm a big fan of the decision based on one, their production, but two, their usage. I mean, they're not getting David Montgomery, handing him the ball off 30, 40 times a game, having to be the bell cow. They're splitting him with Gibbs. They're doing it strategically. They're keeping both of them available and healthy by keeping their usage on a pitch count. So I think overall it's a good thing to do with an asset, and Monty certainly is a big linchpin to this offense.
Yeah, I think it's nice because they both, again, I think they complement each other very well. And as we've mentioned previously in episodes, they also both can do the things that the other one excels at as well.
Mhm.
Like, you don't necessarily think of them in that light, but they
Yeah.
can. Like, they can. Monty can show some speed and some agility, and then Gibbs can run over people occasionally. So it's
Yeah.
they always kind of like keep you guessing. And then it'll be interesting to see too how Vikai gets worked in as the season goes on. He
Yeah.
showed some flashes in the preseason. And so, having a third back in that rotation, again, just even helps even more keeping people fresh.
Yeah,
And we
absolutely.
saw it with the overtime game with the Falcons and the Saints last week. You had that kick returner come in and have that 60-yard touchdown reception, 65-yarder, and just because he was the freshest guy out there. So
Yeah,
sometimes
right.
just having a guy with fresh legs can make a huge difference after
Yeah.
you've gone 4 quarters of a game. So
Yeah, 4 quarters of a game, and then the 4 quarters of a game in like week 10, 11, 12, when you've had all that wear and tear
Yeah.
on your team. Injury concerns are there. If you're a cold weather team, you're starting to play out in the winter and fall weather. So it's the season's a marathon, and availability is sometimes the best trait a player can have.
yeah, so that can sometimes be your MVP stat there.
Yes.
Just how many games
Yeah.
are you healthy to play? That can be a
And speaking
insider.
of which, on that, Monty has not missed a game since he's signed with Detroit. He's bruising, and he is not. Um, he has not been injured very much. He had that rib issue last season, but he just powers through it.
He just gets hurt, not injured.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that about him.
Mhm.
The toughness, the grit there.
Yes.
And talking about injuries, Jeffrey. So obviously coming out of the bye, the Lions are in a really good place. Outside of the people that are already on, like the injured reserve and things like that, there really aren't any injuries for the Lions coming into this game. There is Christian Mahogany, who's out. He's one of the backup offensive linemen. He's out with illness, but there aren't any speaking on that vibe too. We said, okay, if we know we dropped one game, but if we can go 3-1, be relatively healthy heading into the bye week, we're in a great place.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And so we're getting Ragnow back, getting Brian Branch back. Kirby Joseph is good. Any of our injury worries seem to have cleared up out of the people outside of Davenport and Barnes, who have those longer term injuries where we know they're out.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we're looking good on the injury front.
Yeah, especially compared to Dallas, they are very depleted, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Which I think will be one of the big keys to the game here. Deron Bland's not going to be able to play.
I think I saw that he got put on IR too.
He got put on IR today.
I think
Oh,
so,
dang.
with
Okay,
that
yeah.
foot injury.
So that's not good. So he's their big playmaker. But they've got a rookie that possibly was wearing a green dot for the middle linebacker role, so he might be out there. There's talks about maybe giving the green dot helmet to a different player who's not a rookie, as per Mike Zimmer, wants to kind of make sure that defense is not losing too much of that step out there with their linebacker health that they need. But ultimately, it's going to affect their run game, which has been one of the worst in the NFL. Especially looking at under the hood stats, as far as the amount of stacked boxes that they try to run is the second most in the NFL. So clearly they're trying to stop the run, but despite all of that, their run defense has not been good.
And I like your Detroit fan man chiming in, but we can only help them out. Rhythm and Bruise is just an objectively better nickname than Sonic and Knuckles.
That's exactly. Objectively, you are absolutely correct.
And it fits better. It just goes nicer.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, Jeffrey, another big injury is Micah Parsons is out here. So they do get Dexter Lawrence back. He was out last week, so they were down their two best pass rushers. But the fact that you're down Micah Parsons, who is definitely an elite pass rusher, and you have issues in the secondary, that
Yeah.
Sometimes if your secondary struggling, you can overcome that with a good pass rush. But if you can't get a good pass rush and your secondary is depleted, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And I think another sort of key to the game, another matchup to watch is so they have their nickelback safety out of Michigan, ironically enough, Jordan Lewis.
Yeah.
He has been very good on the season, the young fella. But he's getting a little cocky back there, talking some shit, and Monroe St. Brown, the sun god himself,
Yeah.
has taken exception.
Yeah, it's good old fashioned trash talking. I love it. I love when players get into it a bit like this. Obviously not getting into fights and hurting each other, but smack talking, I'm all for some smack talking.
Especially when they have the play to back it up. Too,
oh yeah,
on both
absolutely.
sides. That's
like Amon-Ra knows he's the dude, and he can back up that smack talk. And he had a funny interview segment. They were talking about this throughout the week because the matchup's coming up, so they're kind of talking about like Lions versus Cowboys and kind of the almost like a mini rivalry that's kind of developing here a little bit in these past couple of years as far as NFC contention goes, and some of the shenanigans that go on in our games. But he was mentioning that this rookie was just saying a bunch of things, and he's like, I don't remember what I said. I black out in those moments, but if I said something disrespectful, I'd do it again. I'd do it again. So I love that. I think it's a good sign of healthy kind of competitive nature.
I think some of the best smack talk that I've ever seen in the NFL used to be with Chad Ochocinco.
Yeah.
When he would have the deodorant, he'd name him after the DB.
Yeah,
He'd be
yeah.
like, it's the only way they're going to cover me.
That's hilarious.
That's prime.
He's a
right
character,
there.
man. I really enjoyed because when he was playing, when I got into football, it was like 2004, 2005 ish. He was kind of getting towards the end of his career there in there at the
Had he
Bengals.
started the Patriot? I don't think he'd started the Patriot years.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Was he still rocking the Bengals?
He was still rocking the Bengals, and yeah, it's just
him and Carson Palmer back there.
oh man, I remember
TJ
that.
Houshmandzadeh.
Houshmandzadeh's out there. Oh yeah, man, nostalgia. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's crazy just to think about how much the NFL has changed since I've been watching it. The thing that I hate now is that you see so many of like the players that I like grew up with, their sons are now in there. So like Joe Horn Jr.
Oh yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, you're like, oh man, how old am I? Yeah, right.
It's not good.
Right.
It's not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely it's fun to see how the NFL always continues to evolve, and you see sort of like familiar names and stuff pop back up. It's great.
Yeah, for sure.
But for the Lions here, of course, this is a familiar opponent. The last time we played the Cowboys, there was the touchdown that was taken from us because we did not properly identify ourselves, even though the video was you could see, playing as Penguin that they're getting told. They just thought he was Dan Skipper saying it instead of Taylor Decker.
That officiating crew. I didn't look and see who the officiating crew was for tonight, this afternoon. I wouldn't be surprised if it was that officiating crew too. Yeah, absolutely robbed on that. Tired of hearing about Dallas. Tired of hearing about Dallas being America's team when clearly we are America's team. Especially look at the playoffs last year. Pretty much everybody wanted us to go on to the end, that's just fan beef. That's just fan beef.
Yeah. So speaking of, but it's our chance here, right? It's redemption time.
Yeah.
And in this time, I think it's leave no doubt. Like if they have an opportunity, we're not going to let this come down to, having the refs be able to make a last-second call to determine the outcome of the game. If the Lions have their way, they're going to come out here and just take it to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think I almost can guarantee that when the schedule was released and this game absolutely circled, you could tell how frustrated and angry everybody was, after that game last year, and with Dan Campbell, and he's just like, I've never seen him like mince words very much, but he was almost holding himself back. He's like, I'm just not going to talk about it. I'm angry. We're going to use this as controlled fury for the next one. Guarantee coming in this round, he's like, boys, we got a bye week before this. We're going to cook up some things. I wouldn't be surprised seeing a couple of some of our some trickeration that we've got, because we've been kind of opening up the playbook the past couple of weeks.
They have been getting fresh with their calls.
Yes.
They're letting Ben Johnson cook a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we do something like that, because and I hate to rehash all the analysis we did for that game last year, but that was the perfect call at the perfect time. to end that game right there.
Mm-hmm.
Should have got it. So I expect some shenanigans like that on our end, just to kind of, bring it back a bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it is going to be good play calling. I think the good thing here too for us coming off the bye week is that next week we play the Vikings, so that's when we start our NFC North thing. They're coming off a bye week this week, so they have a week to prepare. They're undefeated. I think it's good that we're playing the Cowboys this week because I could easily see if we're coming off a bye week and we're playing a team that we don't have some sort of grudge or something against, that we could easily overlook this opponent this week, knowing that we have our first NFC North game against our undefeated division rival the following week.
Yeah.
Could kind of overlook it potentially. But the fact that it is the Cowboys, I think it does work out as good timing because we have that burning desire inside us to get some revenge against them.
Yeah.
So it helps ensure that we're not going to be like, okay, yes, we're playing them, but we got to worry about the Vikings. It's no, we're going to be focused this week because we want to beat these guys.
Yeah.
And so I think that's good. So I should expect that we took that extra time with the bye week to prepare for the Cowboys and weren't trying to we're playing them, but we're more worried about the Vikings. The following week.
Exactly.
So I feel better about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as Detroit Fan Man points out here, we have plus Tom Brady is commenting today's game. Maybe it's time to finally learn to overlay the Dan Miller radio call over the TV, or should I just give the GOAT a chance?
Ooh, yeah. People have been saying he's been a little rusty as far as not rusty because he's never done it before. He's been a little raw, I'd say, but
I feel like Tom Brady is a polarizing guy. Like you either like Tom Brady or you don't like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You're either rooting for him to be good or you're not gonna like him.
Yeah.
So I guess it comes down to Detroit Fan Man to what's your are you someone that I know for a lot of people, especially since he played football at Michigan, a lot of people from Michigan are generally positive towards Tom Brady. So
no such love for me over here.
The fact that he is the fact that he is a Wolverine is actually a deterrent for me.
Yes.
But for some people that's a plus. So I mean, but again,
but compared to Dan Miller is the GOAT himself when it comes to broadcasting. So I wouldn't put it against you if you wanted to overlay his call over
just
Brady's.
mute it and then just have Dan Miller's call there. It'd be good. And Digits 098043 commenting here on YouTube. As a Vikings fan, our matchup with the Lions will mean one of our fan bases suffers a little less. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Digits.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I know
absolutely.
that matchup with the Vikings is going to be. We'll talk about it a lot, but it's definitely
it's going to be
coming into the season. I felt better about it, but how good their defense has been, and the fact that Sam Darnold is having his renaissance. He did come back down a little bit to earth when he played the Jets, but the Jets' defense is good.
Yes.
Not that our defense isn't good, but the reason that he struggled is that the Jets' defense is a better defense.
And I think with
playing in England.
Playing in England, I feel like just puts you in a warp. Of some kind of it's the fluky things can happen when you're traveling, doing the London game or any of the international games. But the Vikings, I didn't I don't think many of us expected them to just be a quarterback away. I thought they were gonna they moved on from Kirk Cousins, bringing in J.J. McCarthy to kind of develop him, bring him up, and I feel like a lot of people didn't really think that they'd be this good with just one good quarterback play. J.J. McCarthy goes down. Sam Darnold has his renaissance, and Minnesota's looking very, very good.
And it's still crazy how many quarterbacks Sam Darnold is younger than.
I know, right?
Because he was a younger guy, and then of course with the college football the way it is with the transfer portal now, players are and then of course the COVID years too, a lot of these players had. So players are just in college now for so much longer that it's just crazy that Joe Burrow is older than Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
that's the one that really stood out to me. I know he's younger than some other younger quarterbacks too, but it's crazy. So it'll be interesting. I think the Vikings are going to be in an interesting place too. What do you do? Obviously, you took J.J. McCarthy, so do you try to transition to give him the reins, or if Sam Darnold continues on the trajectory he's been on the season, do you go with him? It's going to be because again, he's not old, so
right.
it's going to be interesting.
And fortunately for them, and unfortunately, really, it's kind of a double-edged sword. But they do get the entire season to assess Darnold instead of this being like he's coming in at the end, a few weeks, getting only a couple weeks of play to kind of judge on where do you go next. You get the basically entire season to see where he's going. It's starting out great. Testament to, though, O'Connell being a fantastic coach, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
And then Brian Flores, the job he's doing on that defense
has
been fantastic. But Digits thinks that we may be able to run on the Vikings and toss a few deep. I mean, that's the Lions' bread and butter is their run the ball and then do the play action.
Hold on,
and
exactly.
Just toss it out then. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. I am worried they have that one linebacker who got his second pick 6 of the season against Aaron Rodgers last season across,
gave him the
last game against across
the pond. Was he the one who gave the discount double check back to him?
No, that was Harrison Smith.
That was Harrison Smith.
Harrison Smith had been with the Vikings for a long time, so him and Aaron Rodgers know each other. And he did not hesitate to break out the discount double check, which is fantastic. Because we haven't seen the discount double check.
No, we haven't. Aaron Rodgers, he traded up his discount double check for some Hayabusa, man.
Yeah, going to Egypt and just having himself a time, man. It's crazy what's going on with him. You know, as a rehabilitated former Packers fan, I have to say I used to be mad at the Packers because it's like you have 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, you get rid of them under like bad circumstances. Mm-hmm. And like it's like really after all they've done for you, that's how you're gonna be. But like they seem to have an uncanny like sixth sense for when they've become like their quarterback has become too ripe. It's just it's just time to send
them to
the
Jets. They all get off the Jets on speed dial. Like the Jets, we've got a quarterback for you.
And like the Jets should know better because it like hasn't gotten good either. Like if the Jets do this a third time, go like with Jordan Love. At the end of his career, they go and try and grab him.
I'll never doubt that.
Just don't do it, Jets.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Favre, Rodgers,
you can't do it.
Don't. We fooled you twice.
Yeah.
Don't let it happen the third time. But yeah, it's gonna be the NFC North is going to be a fun ride this season.
Yeah, it is. You know, I think a lot of people talk about the AFC North. I think, but the NFC North, one of the best divisions in football, one of the most competitive divisions in football.
Yeah, I think that what gives the NFC North the edge over the AFC North this season is the fact that the Steelers. I'm not really sure their defense is obviously like contender level, but Justin Fields in that offense. Still not sure if they're pretender or contender there.
Yeah.
And then the Browns are just ass.
Yeah.
So
right.
like, it's at least with the NFC North, it's like everybody across the board is good.
Yeah.
And so the Steelers and the Browns kind of bring down the AFC North a little bit. Otherwise,
it is a little annoying that when the Lions have their renaissance for the first time in 50 years, the NFC North all is doing good at the same time. It's like, come on, man. But it makes for fun football, though.
And it fits for this team, right? Like, they sort of know that nothing's going to be given to them. That, you know, there are going to be opportunities. Like, they have an opportunity for the first time ever to have back-to-back NFC North titles.
Yeah.
Lions have never done that. We've only won one NFC North title.
Right.
The last time we won the NFC, or our division before it was this past season, was when it was the NFC Central. So
right.
We only have one actual NFC North win. It's our chance to go back to back, but like you have to go out there and take that. It's not going to be given to you, and I think that's at least with how this team is built, the culture that they have, and everything like that. That's good. Like they very much they don't expect anything to be given to them, and that they have to go out there and earn it. So.
Yeah, and at the end of the season, last season, when we lost in that NFC Championship game, Dan Campbell was super frank. He's like, many of you will not get to this opportunity again. That's how difficult it is to get to this point. And we are not this unknown quantity anymore. Like, people are gonna come and play the best against us now. So nothing is a given. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And my father there, as a Packers fan, we are glad you left. Oh, okay.
We're glad to take Kevin. We're glad to take Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, so we started the Lions grid 8 seasons ago now. This is the 8th season, so 8 years ago. So it's been a slow transition to becoming a Lions fan and disavowing my Packers affiliation. It pains me a little bit because they do have Jalen Reed, who is of course a Spartan and as former we are Spartans. Graduates of the school.
Yeah.
You know, we have that MSU always has that place in our hearts. So love to see the Jalen Reed do well, but at the same time, Kevin has more Packer jerseys than any other. I think I might actually have more Packer jerseys than.
Do you still have them?
I do.
Oh,
I still have
have
all.
To fix that.
I have all my jerseys.
We have to fix that. We
no,
can have bonfires. It's getting nice and cold out here. It's fall. Have ourselves.
No, see, the fans that do the jersey bonfires, I've never been a fan of that.
Yeah.
It's like the stupidest thing in the world. That's like, when you have the people on, like if there's like, they have somebody on like the Fox News segment. They're like, all right, we're gonna start protesting this, and they go out and like burn their Keurig or something. It's like, you paid for that. Why are you like, you already gave them the money? Like it doesn't do anything. So, but anyways, next you'll be a U of M fan. No. Well, no, that's a similar story. I was kind of a U of M fan, and then
we're learning all of Kevin's dark truths on this episode.
You evolve as
all
you go
his
along
skeletons
as time
in his
goes
closet,
on. Yeah.
All the skeletons in this man's fan closet.
I've
it's coming out.
I find it hard to believe you at one point never wore a Michigan fan.
I was a Michigan fan growing up.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, my brother went there when I was a wee lad. I was indoctrinated. I was indoctrinated.
I know the story, man. My mom indoctrinated me. I get it. I understand. And plus, I mean, Clarkston, where we grew up, also had blue and yellow, and then we had the wing T helmets.
Our uniforms in high school were the exact copy of the U of M, up to the winged helmets, even like the blue and the yellow pants and everything. So everybody kind of.
Thankfully, we didn't call it maize.
Yeah, we just called it golden blue.
Yeah. But I'm definitely styled after them. But it's yeah. I mean, I've kept hung on to all the jerseys throughout the years, and I do have. I actually have. I think I have.
I think you have a Tom Brady jersey from the
I
Patriots?
do have a Tom Brady jersey. I have a Randy Moss jersey. For the not for the Patriots, for the Vikings.
For the Vikings.
For the Vikings.
I feel like that was his classic era. Standard era.
I mean, he did have that one great year with the Patriots too,
when they destroyed all those offensive records.
Impressive, but I'm trying to think if there's any other teams. I have a Joey Harrington jersey.
Oh shoot! Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Those are some awesome artifacts.
I think everything's in NFC North. I don't think I had. Well, no, we have. John Elway. I do have, and a Brian Greasy too.
Okay, shoot. Okay.
We lived out in Colorado for a hot moment, so.
Okay, so you were getting some Colorado.
Became some Bronco fans for a moment. Yeah. So I guess I have some AFC and some NFC in there.
Detroit fan man's having a hard time digesting these admissions. It's all right. I'll vouch for him as a lifelong Lion fan. I'll vouch for this guy. I'll vouch for this guy.
I was ahead of my time. I feel like nowadays it's easier to be like a fan of like players and stuff like that because you have more like. It wasn't so much that way, but growing up for us, really it was you had like access to your local market games.
Oh yeah.
And that was sort of it. So like typically your fandom were like wherever you lived, you were the fan of that team
because
that was who you got to see.
Yeah.
Unless you were watching like the national like broadcast games all the time, and like I'm not going to be a Cowboys or a Steelers fan or something like that. So no, gross. But with Green Bay being nearby, we got a lot of the Packers games, and of course them being in the same division the whole time.
Yeah,
that helped. But then of course we moved to Colorado, started the Broncos. No loyalty, he says. I mean, I've seen him do some flipping flopping himself, but he's over here. People in glass houses shouldn't be cast in stone.
That's
I
right.
guess. But I mean, I'm just a fan of the NFL. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So I can respect where respect is needed, and then also I can dole out criticism where it's needed. So I don't. I'm an equal opportunist.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a Culpepper one too. Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
Two.
Lots of NFC North representation.
Lots of NFC
I like
North.
that. I like that.
I forgot about that. Yeah. And then Culpepper also played for the Lions. Remember that?
I do remember that.
That was during some of the dark times.
It was. It did get us excited in the brief period during the off season. We're like, we got Dante Culpepper. Heck yeah, dual threat quarterback-ish.
Yeah, and he didn't play. I mean, they weren't a great team, but he didn't play that bad.
Yeah, I thought he was solid. Yeah, absolutely.
But certainly more excited about Jared Goff in this current iteration of the Lions.
Yep.
And, you mentioned it earlier, Jeffrey, that the season is a marathon and not a sprint. we're coming off the bye week, but now we have to go 13 straight games.
Yes.
To end our season.
Yep.
So definitely a marathon here
Yep.
for the Lions.
Gauntlet. We've got a pretty tough schedule.
We haven't played any of our NFC North games, so we have 2 games against the Vikings, 2 games against the Bears, 2 games against the Packers. So 6 of those 13 games are against the NFC North rivals. Favre was a Viking as well, but I do not have a Favre Viking jersey. I think wait a minute, you have a Favre Jets jersey, I'm pretty sure. Mr. Flippy Floppy, no loyalty. His loyalty was to Brett Favre. But yeah, he definitely had a Brett Favre Jets jersey. I remember that. But anyways, so the NFC North, and then of course we're playing teams like the Cowboys, who are some of the better teams in the NFC. So it's not an easy road for the Lions.
Yeah.
It's never easy to repeat in general, but we've talked about the strength of the division. It's a tough schedule ahead, but what are your thoughts here, Jeffrey? Do you think the Lions? Do you think they can do it?
Yeah, I think the offense is built on sustained success as far as having a developed and solid run game from week to week. I think overall that's a plus for any good team. If you can just run the ball efficiently like the Lions do, it opens up so many opportunities. Controlling the ball, time possession, getting those short yardage situations, not having to rely on passing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not having to rely on more risky plays. You can spread out where you're getting your carries off the way we're doing it between our rhythm and blues section, right? I think overall it's success. It makes Goff not have to be the hero, which he can be. He can surgically destroy you if he needs to, which is great, but you don't need to have him do that on a week-to-week basis. So it's I think we've got sustained success, but 13 weeks is a lot of games in a row.
If you had to put a over-under on how many incompletions Jared got past day, he went perfect last time out.
Oh.
How many? How do you think he does?
I think I'm going to say over-under. He is going to be above 73% completion. I think it's going to be more of a normalized game after being perfect, right? But I still think he's efficient, and the efficiency kind of being up there with some of the better efficiencies up in that mid 70s.
I like it. All right, Jeffrey. Well, so obviously it's going to be a good game here. It's not in prime time. It's not the late Sunday game, but it is in the second window. So 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central. So we're going down to Jerry World, AT&T Stadium.
They're scared
in Arlington, Texas, even though they're the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. I don't know Texas geography. Arlington may be close to Dallas, but I always find it funny. The Lions used to be that way. You used to play the Pontiac Silverdome.
You're right. We call them Detroit Lions.
Detroit Lions. So we've been there too, but I always find it funny when they I think the worst offender is the Giants and the Jets playing in New Jersey.
And then the New York team.
They don't even play in New York. But
you can give the Jets to New Jersey. I don't know.
Yeah, the New Jersey Jets.
Move the Giants over.
Give them There's probably not any place actually in you'd have to go kind of like the Bills. You'd have to go outside of actual New York City to probably find a place to actually put a stadium.
To put a stadium.
Yeah.
Well, no, Central Park's pretty big. Just plop something down in there.
I don't even want to think about all the conversations that would spawn out of trying to just turn Central Park into
an NFL stadium. Yeah. Oh my God! Yeah,
that would be yeah.
But yeah, I think what we're going to see, and I think what's going to be a big key for Dallas on the other side is keeping their deep ball efficiency where it's at. Despite their struggles on offense just being up and down, they still have been able to pass the ball deep, and I think that's going to be a big test for our developing secondary here, because we know we can stop the run, but
it's going to
can
be
we stop the highly paid wide quarterback and the wide receiver complex?
They have struggled they've struggled running the ball in general, and our run defense has been one of the best in the NFL. So I think that's not. Are we going to be able to make them one-dimensional and be able to, pin our ears back, let Aiden Hutchinson just unleash and put that pass rush on Dak? And we have seen Dak take sacks and things like that. That offensive line is not as good as they used to be in Dallas.
And Dallas has had some slow starts too,
Yeah.
right? And they've been kind of forced to rely on that passing game, which is kind of their one dimension that they've got on offense. So
Yep.
so be
If they get down early and we're making them have to throw to catch up, it could be. I mean, there's multiple different recipes for success for the Lions in this game. So we'll get to our picks for the game at the end of the episode, but certainly plenty of reason to feel optimistic heading into this game for the Lions.
All I have to say is the NFL is scared, and Dallas is scared to schedule games at home. They always make us play the Cowboys in Jerry World or down in Arlington. So just gotta say, send them over here once in a while. We'd like to whip some ass here at home.
Yeah. It is interesting, though, Jeffrey. I know you were taking a look at something yesterday, speaking about Ford Field, and something a little off topic, necessarily not about the play of on the field itself, because I know Ford Field, in terms of like an atmosphere, has definitely become really great. Like, it's loud. It's become one of like the loudest stadiums in the NFL. But one thing that was interesting was that they did a survey, right, about how comfortable women fans felt at the stadium themselves.
It was a part of a bigger survey they did about general safety at NFL teams, as far as like people witnessing crimes, people being a part of crimes, crime statistics. Obviously, when it comes to petty crimes and like assaults, that kind of stuff, that's going to happen when you get a bunch of people drinking, excited, and angry at each other, right? That's going to happen. But obviously, Philadelphia up there as far as the.
I mean, they booed Santa Claus through.
They booed Santa Claus. You can't go there.
The
man.
Browns have to be up there too, right? They were the guy. They were the fans. They threw the bottles on the field.
Yeah,
at the refs.
that's
so
right.
Now that's why you can only have plastic bottles now at games.
But they did those kind of stuff. But then they had a category where they were asking specifically women on if they felt safe at these stadiums. And Detroit, unfortunately, was the top team there by a significant margin. Now, I'm not sure the exact questions they did, whether it was survey style, how many people they asked, that kind of thing. But it was surprising to see that women don't feel safe based on the survey in the stadium. I don't know if it's kind of like just a bias for Detroit, because I know many people who don't live in Michigan or don't live around the area, who have not lived in the Metro Detroit area, in the Detroit area. Detroit has a kind of a bad rap, unfounded, I think.
Well, it's interesting because there's kind of, I'm not going to get political with it, but obviously recently one of the presidential candidates had a statement about the rest of the country will be like Detroit. And now it's kind of funny because you have some people think of that in that bad light again with the negativity of it, and then there's other people that are like, you'd be lucky to be like Detroit,
So it's because the turnaround we've had. I mean, the downtown area looks fantastic, and I just think a lot of that might be kind of the preconceived notions of feeling like Detroit is just like a war zone when they've done the city has done quite a bit of regeneration, rejuvenation
around the field.
It's really nice around there. But I don't know. Based on me, and I'm biased because I've lived around there. I've been down to Detroit several times, so I'm comfortable with the area. Obviously, with any big city, there's going to be areas where you don't want to go, right? There's always going to be dangerous parts of any kind of town, kind of thing. But in my experience, Detroit has not been, I don't know, as that. But then again, I'm not a woman. I don't. I've not had to experience any of that from that perspective. And I've also only been to specifically Ford Field 2 or 3 times in my life, and so that's kind of where I come from on it. So.
Yeah, Detroit fan in here. At least they allegedly they're tied for the cheapest beer. So
I mean,
that's a plus there. I mean, it's still going to cost you an arm and a leg, but at least you're not spending an arm, a leg, and a hand.
Yeah,
you're spending everywhere else.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I guess really, message there is just if you're down in Ford Field, just do better. It's all good. Like the energy's great, but like maybe I'm not sure how much you have to. Again, it could be biased, but just everyone just do good down there. Just don't worry about it. It's a game. We're having it's exciting times, and we'd hate to spoil the success the Lions are having by doing cruddy stuff.
Yeah, doing the crappy stuff. Yeah. Let's keep the fighting between fans at the usual places like Philadelphia.
Yeah,
let's keep it over there.
Yeah, let the trash reputation take itself up. Let's not bring it to us. All right, Jeffrey. So next up, we'll do our locks of the week here.
Yes.
I'm going out on a limb with this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start with mine here. So one of the games that is on tap for today, which I think is going to be potentially the spiciest game of the day, is the Battle of the Beltway. You have the Washington Commanders taking on the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore.
Okay, yeah.
And so, of course, Baltimore and D.C. right next to each other there. The Ravens are favored. It's at home. They're favored 6.5. But I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders.
Spicy, okay.
To get the win. The Ravens have been on a hot streak here recently. They've looked really good. Lamar's playing well. Derrick Henry is really showing that they did the right thing in investing in him. But the Ravens are one of those teams that it feels like this season they're going to be that roller coastery, not like as bad as some of the teams, but like they always like do good and then they'll suddenly be like and then they'll like keep going. So I think this is the down week.
Okay.
And I think Jaden Daniels and this Commanders team can come in here and potentially surprise them.
Yeah, especially with how well they're playing.
Yeah.
Right? Especially with how well they're playing, and I think we'll get to see Jaden Daniels go up against another MVP candidate. Because based on how they're playing, both of them firmly, I feel like are in top 5 for MVP based on early results of the season. So we'll kind of see kind of a big matchup here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be, I think, a really good measuring stick to see how good Jaden Daniels and his Commanders team is by comparing them to the Ravens. Because the Ravens are definitely a team that we know are a Super Bowl contender. So seeing them play a team of that caliber, it's going to give us a really good way to judge how good the Commanders are. So,
and regardless, just good vibes with the Commanders fans, though. They're going into a marquee matchup, and they are one of the marquee teams. That's great. That's a great feeling.
Yeah, it's nice being at that point, like right for the Lions. It's nice when you go into matchups. It's not, the Lions are just going to get their asses kicked. It's
yeah,
like,
how can we?
We could win this game, and like, how could we win this game? And it's not just like the other team doesn't show up.
Right.
There are actually tangible ways you can win the game, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like that pick. I like that pick.
So I'm going the Commanders as my lock of the week.
All right.
And I'm not even taking the 6.5 points. I mean outright
winning
victory over the Ravens.
Yeah. Speaking of outright victory, my lock of the week, I'm going with the game Tampa Bay at New Orleans. I'm taking Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is favored by 3.5 points. I think they're going to firmly take care of that. Derek Carr's injured with an oblique injury, so he is week to week at this point. So Spencer Rattler getting his debut.
Old Spencer Rattler coming in.
And I think Tampa Bay's defense is pretty good against a rookie starting for the very first time. Yes, it's at home, but I feel like the defense is going to be too much for the rookie quarterback. And I think New Orleans rolls in this one. Or I'm sorry, Tampa Bay rolls in this one. New Orleans rolls over in this one. Yes, that's what. Yeah,
because Baker's looked good this season. So I mean, it is surprising that. I mean, obviously they lost in overtime last week to the Falcons on Thursday Night Football.
They always that game was a toss-up.
I mean, 1 point. I feel like really this season a lot of games have been. There hasn't been too many games where teams are getting blown out. So it's just those little differences, those couple of moments in games have really been impacting things. But otherwise, I mean, Baker Mayfield's looked good. Mike Evans, I think he got his 100th receiving touchdown last week, or he's still at 99. He's right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's looked good. Chris Godwin's looked good as well. They have that kind of. I think Rashid White is out, so it should be Bucky Irving getting the start at running back for the Buccaneers. So
Bucky Irving for the Buccaneers. I love that.
Yeah,
it's poetic.
Good old Bucky. So it's going to be interesting. Jeff, that's like picking Chicago over Jacksonville.
Are you calling this lock cowardly? Are you calling it cowardly?
I mean, to be fair, I think the money line or the odds for the game with Jacksonville and Chicago, it's up to 21. And oh no, that's the spread. I want to say it was still like
it was within
a touchdown. I thought it was within 3. Yeah. So. I mean, we don't make the odds.
Yeah,
we just look at
them and choose them, right? We only can pick 1 score games. So if it's above the 8-point swing between the two teams. We can't pick it. So, which most of the time this year, that's not. We've had lots of options because many of these are one-score games.
Yeah,
according to the
I haven't
desert.
really seen too many double-digit like spreads so far.
Yeah, a couple times it was like the Panthers versus so they're putting.
Yeah, if you put Bryce Young back underneath center for the Panthers.
Yeah,
that might do
right.
it. That might,
You'll have some teams laying some wood according to the Vegas over there.
Yeah, that could be that could boost those numbers up. Take those rookie numbers.
Plus,
pump them up
I need
there.
to get a good win this week because I am down by a game in the Locks standing. So I gotta make up some ground here.
He's taking a more conservative pick. I'm taking a spicy pick.
Yeah.
It's a good recipe for it. It's a good recipe. All right, Jeffrey, but that leaves just to do our picks for the Lions-Cowboys game. Do you like the Lions on the road, or are you going with the home team and the Cowboys?
No, I'm going with the Lions. Screw the Cowboys.
Sipping that Kool-Aid?
America's team. I don't want to hear that anymore about Dallas. We're going to go in there. We're going to win. Hopefully Jerry gets embarrassed out there, but I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm giving it to the Lions.
Oh, you're going a close game,
Yeah.
huh? I think this is a game. I mean, I don't think it being one that is like we're like beating them by 40 or 20, but this could be, I think, at least a two scoring drive game. So we're talking at least like a 10-point victory. I'm thinking here for the
You're
Lions.
a little bit more confident. Okay.
I feel like this is a game where the Lions should come out and make a statement. You're coming off a bye week. Your team is healthy. You've had the bye week to prepare for this matchup. You have reason to want to beat them. Revenge should be on the mind. Like the injuries to the secondary and the linebacking core for the Cowboys, their lack of a running game. Like there is a lot of things to not like about the Cowboys in this game and a lot of opportunity for the Lions. And I've always said that the biggest thing, the difference between the Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes era with his Lions, is their ability to capitalize on opportunities. So it's not a guarantee by any means, but the Lions have all the opportunity in the world to win this game. And so thankfully, I trust them to go out and do it, and they've been proving me right more often than not.
Yeah,
so
right.
I think the Lions definitely get the win here. And like I said, I would imagine it's going to be at least 10-plus points. They win comfortably here against the Cowboys.
Okay, so
and it just fits with the Cowboys, sort of up and down season that they are definitely a team that roller coasters hard.
Yes. Yeah.
The Bills are another example. Some teams just they like to watch the world burn, and so when they're good, they're good. When they're bad, they're real bad. And I think the Cowboys, I think they struggled this week, especially being down their cornerbacks and not having Parsons out there. Even though Penei Sewell usually handles business against them, they really only have to watch out for Dexter Lawrence at that point. And I think the Lions match up well.
All right. Heck yeah. Either way, either our picks come true, either our predictions come true, be a good thing for us.
Yeah. Well, a win's a win.
Yeah.
I think Kirk Cousins said that best when they were interviewing him after the win against Tampa Bay. Whether you win by 1 point or you win by 30,
yeah.
it's a win.
It's a win. Yes. Heck yeah.
That's all you care about. But I'm hoping they come out there and as Coach Herman, or not, it's not Herman Boone, it's Yokes. What's his Dan Yokes? Remember the Titans? I forget what Coach Yokes' first name is in that.
Oh yeah.
But Herman, leave no doubt.
Yeah. Herman.
I hope they take that mentality and just run it up on the Cowboys if they have the opportunity.
Yes. Or stunt on them. I'll take some trick plays. I'll take anything. Stunt on them, dance on them. I'm all good with
Just
that.
let them know that you are at a different level than
Yes.
them. Flaunt your superiority. So hopefully, I'd like to see it, especially again as we start to, not that we're looking ahead to that Vikings game, but knowing that is our next opponent. I definitely like to see them, when you have the opportunity against the team here, and next week is a bit more of a question mark going up against that team, like to see them take advantage of that opportunity as we head to something that's a little more uncertain.
Yes.
So these games are important. So they gotta come out here and hopefully improve to 4-1.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
All right, but we do. That'll do it for today's show, Jeff. It's good. Our first
in person.
Our first live in-person show. I definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in. I know we had a lot of participation on the YouTube today, so I want to shout out everybody there. Detroit Fan Man, Mytho Hippo chiming in, of course my father there, and then we had Digits earlier on, Digits 098043. Get the full
Got lots
username
of
in there.
digits. Yeah. Yeah, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you all for participating, and everybody that's viewing. Whether you're watching us on YouTube or if it's Facebook or Twitch, we definitely appreciate your support. And then, of course, we do take the content from today's show and it goes on to Spotify. So if you prefer to listen to podcasts, you'll be able to catch this up on Spotify. And then we also do put highlights on a number of different channels: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube as reels. So if you prefer a little bit more shorter content, I know it looks like we're at almost 56 minutes here. So,
right.
If you prefer just a little more digestible chunks, you can find the Lions Grid on those other social media platforms, and they're there for your viewing pleasure. But we do appreciate the support. And the best way, if you do enjoy the show, to help the channels grow is to give us a like, a follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we definitely appreciate it as we continue to charge through this season here, Jeffrey. It's hard to believe we're already in week 6.
Week 6, yeah. It's crazy. It's going by really fast.
Yeah,
But,
so
best time of the year for me. Love football.
Yep. We have, after this, this week, 13 weeks for us, just like the Lions. So we didn't get the bye week.
That's
though,
right. Yeah, right.
They got to take one off. Yeah. We go the full 18.
That's right.
And then we dive into the playoffs.
Yes.
So, and hopefully we'll, I would be surprised if we don't have the Lions to talk about in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I've been in that situation doing the Lions Grid.
Yes.
Where you're just talking about other teams.
Yes.
And that's not a whole lot of fun. It's actually, it's not bad talking about like the playoffs at that point, because you're talking about playoff teams, but it's worse when you're not like the weeks heading into that, the end of the season, when you're like not part of the hunt at all.
Oh yeah,
It's like, well, Lions aren't making it.
Yeah, right.
What are we going to do in the offseason?
Yeah, right. Where's our draft position going to be?
But thankfully, those hopefully those days are long past. I know we did the roaring or boring topic of would you rather have the guaranteed Super Bowl appearance or the Mike Tomlin 17 years of winning seasons.
Yeah.
And I believe you took the Super Bowl appearance, but
I did.
I definitely plugged that 17 winning season, because you always have a chance at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
Making it there. So hopefully we see the Lions create some sort of dynasty like that if they can do 17 winning seasons.
Oh man,
I don't know how many winning seasons. I'd have to go and look at it. We need our stat department. How many winning seasons in general the Lions have had? Doing 17 back to back, that would probably be a pretty substantial in their history.
For sure.
Yeah.
Significant
amount. So, both are good options. They've never been to a Super Bowl, so certainly a good shot this year.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
Yeah.
To send, it's a great week to send that message of that. Hey, we are a Super Bowl contender here against the Cowboys, and I think reassuring to me too, as we talked about with the Seahawks game. That was a game where there was another opportunity for them to take advantage of injuries, and that really felt like the first game where they did that. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they can continue to do that here against the Cowboys with another chance to do so.
Yeah, heck yeah, it'll be a good game.
Yep, but we'll see what happens later on this afternoon. All right, Jeffrey, my dad's going no down there. Apparently, I'm not sure if he doesn't. Not sure what exactly he's knowing, but he's knowing something.
Interesting. Well, when we were thanking
doesn't
viewers,
like the Lions.
When we were thanking viewers to join us, we were thanking everybody except Kevin's dad.
We excluding one particular Lions hater. He was offering up. Apparently, my mom bought him a shirt that he is also offering up to the web if anyone wants a free Lions shirt.
Okay.
It's never been worn, and he says nor will it. Although if you give it away to someone and they wear it, then it gets worn. So maybe it is in its life. Lions are not the Super Bowl.
That's right. They're not the Super Bowl. That's correct. They're not Super Bowl.
Correct. Nice. All right, everyone. We want to thank you for tuning in. I'm Kevin Marhani. He's Jeffrey Raymond. We'll see you during Tuesday's episode where we hopefully can celebrate a Lions win.
Yes. All right.
But as always, Jeff, last way to leave it on a Sunday is with a Go Lions.
Go Lions, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
America's team. Suck at Kevin's dad.
See ya.